Da, 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 da. How's it going, guys? Just thought I would share a quick tip for you with homeowners insurance. So that an agent I was talking to today, I had a client that there's some confusion about how it's going to get billed, and I thought this would be a great tip to share with you guys. So one thing I want to say is every lender must have homeowners insurance in place before they give you money, right? Before they give you the money for the property, they're going to want to make sure insurance is in place. Heaven forbid the house burns down on day one after you've bought it and there's no homeowners insurance, everybody's hosed. So they're going to want to make sure you have homeowners insurance in place. So they're going to say, hey, please go ahead and send us a policy that proves that you've got it bound and that it's been paid, right? It's one thing to have it bound, but if it's not paid, they're going to say, no dice, sucker. So with homeowners insurance, I want to show you this quick tip. With homeowners insurance, HOI, they're going to want to see, most lenders are going to see either a 6-month or a full 12-month policy paid up front. So depending on how much and some other variables about the property, how much is the loan, how big of a property is it a fix and flip, there's different variables that will dictate how much it's going to cost you, right? Given rate, everything else. So let's just come up with a quick number. For, let's say, a 12-month policy, you're looking at somewhere around $2,000 for homeowners insurance. Well, here's one thing. Most borrowers pay their $2,000 out of pocket because this is a requirement by the lender before they fund. What they don't know is that you could actually build this $2,000 directly to escrow. You could say, Mr. Title, Mr. Escrow, I want to go ahead and bill my homeowner's insurance so that it's taken at closing. It's going to be directly on the HUD, the closing statement, the settlement statement, all the same thing. You're going to see this as actually a line item. And let me show you at least two reasons why this is really important. And it saves you time, headache, everything else. Number one, having to come up with $2,000 out of pocket prior to closing is the first thing. If you're looking at having to pay this amount, we'll just use this arbitrary number, having to pay for that prior to closing, you're out the $2,000, right? Until we get the deal started and underway, you've had to pay for this out of pocket. Well, that $2,000 goes, for me, I could do a lot with $2,000, right? I could start ordering material, I could start paying my contractor, I could start doing a lot of things with that. If I didn't have to pay for that out of pocket prior to closing, that'd be great. Here's the other thing. If you pay that $2,000 to your homeowner's insurance agent, and for whatever reason, prior to closing, the deal falls apart, now you're chasing after your agent trying to get that money back. Heaven forbid he goes on vacation, he's got a family emergency, his refund, you paid with a credit card that doesn't allow refund policy to go back within this, whatever. You're chasing this $2,000. If it's taken directly out of escrow, it only is going to get charged if the deal closes, right? So that's number one. So number one, out of pocket up front, I should say. Number two, if you are working with a money partner, gap partner, somebody that's coming in with helping on the funds, here's the other thing, is if you're going to be asking for the $2,000, same thing, up front, that's a much more different discussion, especially if you're not savvy with how to talk to your gap partner, your money partner, whatever you want to call them. If they're helping out, if their responsibility is to come up with the money, every time you got to bother them makes you look unprofessional. So if you're bothering them 2 weeks prior to closing and say, hey, I know that we had an agreement about how much money you're going to be coming to closing. Here's the thing, sorry, I had to come up with an extra $2,000 I wasn't expecting prior to closing. I'm going to need you to show up either with a little bit more money at closing, or I'm going to need to borrow this $2,000 prior to closing. So now you kind of look unprofessional, right? So if it is paid at closing, this is going to be added to your closing cost. So that's a much easier conversation saying, hey, business partner, this is where we're going to come. This is the reason why you've seen the hike. It's because it's a policy that needs to be paid up front to be able to close the deal, but we want to make sure that it's billed at closing. One other thing, a little side note. With homeowners insurance, if I was you, I would definitely check with your homeowners insurance policy the agent who you're working with and find out if it could be prorated, right? If you're paying for a 6 to 12 month policy up front, but you only use 3 months, find out if you could get prorated the reimbursement for the remaining months that you didn't use. Another thing to ask is if they offer a month-to-month policy. Now, even though the lender is going to require probably a 6 to 12 month policy, if you're paying a month-to-month and you could opt for the 6 month, that may be a cheaper option than paying for a full 12 month and not getting a reimbursement for the other 6, right? So anyway, some things to think about with homeowners insurance and how to have a conversation with your agent. Making sure that when you speak with your agent, you let them know that you're going to be billing escrow, and that you let escrow and your lender know that you're doing the exact same thing. Easiest way I've done this in the past is just straight ask my homeowner's insurance agent, do you have the contact information for title or escrow? Here's the name of the person you need to talk to, the email and the phone number. Let them know we're billing the insurance directly to escrow and that I want it paid at closing. Hopefully this helps you save a little bit of money up front and not have to go chase the $2,000 if the deal doesn't fall apart, if the deal falls apart. And if you have a money partner, you're not asking for them for multiple deposits, multiple payments. It's one deal, one closing, one wire in. Hopefully this helps.